All right, hello. My name is Jacob Van Leuven. This is my original report on The Office. This is the second time I'm recording this. The first time I realized I wasn't recording my screen. So let's see how well this goes. Some brief history on The Office. The first episode was filmed in 2005 and it ran all the way to 2013. It won the Emmy for Best Comedy Series in 2006. In total, the show was nominated for 163 awards and won 30 of them. Despite Michael Scott being one of Steve Carell's most memorable characters, he never won an Emmy for his performance in The Office. And the show continues to see great success through streaming services like Netflix and Hulu. The show is still very popular today. Why did I choose The Office? Well, it's my favorite show. But also, in my opinion, The Office is the best representation of current events through television. It parodies a common setting that many people are familiar with, the workplace, and it exaggerates the daily encounters that one might have in this setting. The show uses humor to discuss topics such as race, homophobia, sexism, nepotism, family, and relationships. While still considered a relatively new show, many of the jokes that were made, more specifically by Steve Carell, Michael Scott, would likely not be approved by today's viewers. So I chose The Office because it is a microcosm of modern society and it uses humor to diverge into topics many shows avoided. Every episode is kind of spins on a daily encounter that one might have. It is just exaggerated greatly to add humor. What is this show about? Well, let's watch a 3-minute video that will sum up the entire show. Okay, so that was 9 seasons of The Office in 3 minutes. But if you missed any of that, the key details is The Office is about a mid-sized paper company called Dunder Mifflin and a branch that's located in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and it focuses on the daily lives of its employees. The main character, Michael Scott, who is played by Steve Carell, is very ignorant in his views on gay people, women, and minorities, and this creates many uncomfortable confrontations throughout the show. The love story of Jim and Pam, who are played by John Krasinski and Jenna Fisher, starts with them as close work friends and ends with them getting married and starting a family together. We'll discuss this more later. And then Dwight, who is played by Rainn Wilson, is the butt end of many jokes and the recipient of numerous office pranks pulled by Jim. Michael Scott and racial relations in the workplace. So let's watch a short video that will put you in the headspace of Michael Scott and his views on minorities. So hopefully after watching that, you can kind of see why I believe that the jokes and things that were said by Michael Scott probably would not be accepted today. And that segues into the Diversity Day episodes. This was the second episode that was ever filmed for this series. This episode discusses diversity in the workplace and how Michael Scott chooses to educate his employees on this matter. So the episode begins with Michael Scott repeating an offensive Chris Rock routine, and that leads to corporate bringing in a diversity counselor who is expected to teach a seminar on race to the office. Michael disagrees with this counselor, and he instead decides to lead his own diversity seminar. His idea of this is to play a game where his employees take a card with a specific race on it and place it on their head. He then asks them to, quote, treat the other person like the race on their card. This episode was actually recently pulled from Comedy Central's cable lineup this year. They were running a marathon of all the episodes of The Office, and this one was pulled. So let's take a look at two quick clips from this episode. So that was the Diversity Day episode. Let's talk about the episode when Michael outs Oscar. So accidentally, Michael outed Oscar as gay in front of the whole workplace. And at the time, Oscar had not come out yet. Some employees with strict religious views were upset at this discovery, such as Angela, who becomes visibly disgusted in Oscar's presence, and also Dwight, who says that he needs to watch gay pornography on his work computer for research purposes. So, to respond to this hostile work environment he created, Michael holds a meeting, and during this meeting, he kisses Oscar in an attempt to make Oscar feel accepted. This episode ends with Oscar receiving a settlement from the corporate higher ups, so he will not sue the company for this fiasco. Um, this episode is obviously very different compared to the Ellen episode in the 90s where she comes out voluntarily. And at the time, that episode was very groundbreaking. and this episode is very much different. So let's take a look at a quick clip from this episode. So obviously very different from the Ellen episode. So let's talk about Jim and Pam. Pam, in the beginning of the show, was engaged to a different Dunder Mifflin employee named Roy, and then also Jim was dating Karen from the Connecticut branch. The two ultimately end up getting married and starting a family together, and the entire office accompanied them on the wedding in Niagara Falls. Writers actually wanted Jim and Pam to split up in the middle of the ninth season, but John Krasinski was against this idea and ultimately saved their on screen marriage, as well as saved a lot of fans from becoming very upset. The relationship between the two was an ongoing love story throughout this mostly comedic based show, and is considered one of the most memorable relationships in television. Let's take a look at Jim's proposal to Pam. So everything else that The Office spins off of, I'm sure I'm missing a few things, but as I said, many of the episodes spin off of everyday things that you would probably encounter in your life, except they're exaggerated and written to be more humorous. Um, so one example is the portrayal of women in the workplace, and the first episode that comes to mind is the Women's Appreciation Day episode. Michael takes all the women in the office to the mall in an attempt to make them feel more comfortable after Phyllis is sexually assaulted in the office parking lot. Another common theme throughout the show is cheating and infidelity. So, two examples are when Michael reveals to the office that Stanley is having an affair. Another one is when Angela's husband is having an affair with Oscar. Bullying. So, throughout the show, Jim pulls numerous pranks on Dwight, and the viewer is kind of left to decide whether his actions were funny and in good spirit, or if he's actually crossing the line and bullying Dwight. And lastly is the stock market crash. Um, in one episode, the price of Dunder Mifflin shares plummets, and this is actually because of Michael Scott's comments he made at a shareholders press conference. And this causes the company to have to sell to a Florida based tech company, which leads to the merger with Sabre and Joe Bennett. The workplace family. So, The Office did an awesome job of reminding us to cherish the relationships that we have with our coworkers. While most characters on the show have families that they go home to at the end of the day, is their coworkers that they are interacting and hanging out with. They go out for drinks at the bar together, they host dinners for each other, and even start up separate business ventures together. A good example that displays the tight knit relationship that these coworkers have is when everyone came together to wish Michael a goodbye. We can't forget where the idea of a workplace family started. The Office's workplace family is similar to the Dick Van Dyke Show and the Mary Tyler Moore Show. When asked why he was planning on leaving the show, Carell just simply told Entertainment Weekly, I just want to spend more time with my family." So let's take a look at this emotional goodbye put together by the staff of The Office. So as you could tell, that was very emotional and very heartfelt, and that was actually put together by the cast of The Office and surprised Steve Carell. And I think that portrays how close knit everyone in this workplace family is, and it also gives us a sense of how they felt about Michael Scott. You know, he said a lot of ignorant things, and he did a lot of damage to his employees. Like you could see Meredith talking or singing about when Michael hit her with his car and when Michael kissed Oscar, but they all came together and they all appreciated Michael for who he is, you know. He's not malicious. He doesn't say these things because he hates minorities or he hates gay people. He's just ignorant, misinformed, and goofy. And I think we all know someone like that. Um, so, on that note, thank you for listening. And this has been my original report on The Office.